Well, we're still here.
Whoa!
Yes. Baruch Hashem.
Has v'shalom.
No, Baruch Hashem. Chas v'shalom means God forbid.
I know what it means.
Okay, then why'd you say it?
For fun.
Okay, because you're saying we're still here, God forbid.
Yes.
God forbid that we should still be here.
Yeah, it's sort of a Jewish thing, you know, sort of saying the opposite of what you mean, you know, sarcastic.
That's fine,
Sort
but
of
the
being
whole point of
sarcastic.
this opening is to thank God
Oh, I'm grateful.
that we're still here.
Right.
To show a little
The modani of the
modani of podcasts.
of the podcast.
It's
yeah.
so exciting. But what are we grateful for, Eli? I'll tell you what. The listeners,
Right.
the viewers,
Right.
which may be the same person.
Which could be the same
could be
single
the same
person.
single person
Yes.
that's listening and watching this, and our guests in studio. Boy, am I grateful for the one and only, the great, the multi-talented Brett Gelman.
Brett Gelman.
Brett Gelman is our star of David
Wow.
today. I don't think
He's tall.
I don't think there's anyone cooler that I know.
He's very tall, too.
It's not the height that we're going to talk
That's
about.
what makes him cool
Are you
to
going to
me.
ask, because you always get the third of the four questions, are you going to ask how tall are you?
Well, now I'm not going to. It's always got to be a huge surprise to the listeners. So now I'm not going to do that. I'll have to think of something different. And we only have like 50 minutes until then. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with anything.
But first, this is Stars of David
Yes.
with me, Elon Gold, and the great. Let me just say this about you, Eli, and I wrote this down.
Oh, come on.
You are the Ernie to my Bert,
Ah.
the Gail to my Oprah, the father to my children. Eli Leonard, everybody. Eli Leonard is here.
It's good to be.
Welcome to the only show that asks the question, why is this show different from all other podcasts? And you know why, Eli?
Yeah, but you should tell me.
I think because this show is just so full of Jewish pride and comedy and love. It's full of love.
It's full of love. What other show
It's
can
full
you
of-
can you talk about the state of comedy today, the state of Yam Yisrael today, and talk about Shabbos Nachamu all in one podcast?
Podcast? By the way, Eli, what is going on? I think we should take a moment to just talk about what is going on.
In my life,
No, in Eli's world.
in my world. Oh,
Yeah, it's
that's
more than
way
just a
different.
life. You
Way
are a
different.
world unto yourself.
Yes.
What's going on in the world?
Okay, well, okay, so I went to my favorite, and man, this is already so stereotypical, and I feel
Okay.
bad for saying it, but I went to my favorite bagel store yesterday.
Oh, God.
Okay, I did. No, I did. And there was a bag that said free bagels outside of it. And I thought, okay, obviously in my world, it's my favorite bagel store. It's just a bag that's a brown bag, brown paper bag. It says free bagels outside of the store. And I'm thinking, wow, what an opportunity for somebody to entrap me and find me to be this stereotypical
Like video
Jewish
you.
person and videotape me.
So it was a dilemma.
I thought it was going to be a huge dilemma that somebody would see me taking this bag of bagels.
Right.
Which obviously I wanted. But I was so conflicted because what would happen if I saw anybody,
Right.
if anyone saw
So
me?
in your head, you're going perpetuate a stereotype,
Yes.
enjoy breakfast.
Exactly.
And you chose.
I chose to enjoy breakfast.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Who
I did.
cares what they think? Let them.
I do.
Oh, you
no,
do?
truly I do.
Oh, you
And
care?
and I care so much about it because
Uh-huh.
I know that maybe a lot of people are just listening to this, but if you can't hear from my cadence, I do look as Jewish as I sound. And it's
That's not true, by the way.
I look more Jewish than I sound.
1,000 times.
That's funny.
Yeah, you
I
could
think I
pull.
sound
Your
pretty
voice could pull off non-Jew.
Really?
The face can't.
That's okay.
Yeah, the
I mean, I
hair
can- I
can't.
could
There's
definitely-
a lot that can't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
so
the
okay,
voice-
you're right.
Yeah.
I guess I could.
So that's what's going on in Eli's world.
Well, that's just something that's been on my mind since yesterday. It's been eating me up. Did anybody see me?
right.
And that scared me.
By the way, I'm with you. I'm not kidding. When I see like just a dollar bill on the street, I look and I go, I'm not.
No,
touching it.
no, I won't go for a dollar.
Just for a myriad of reasons, from the germs to is this a
Yeah.
trap to
No.
are they going to go look at the Jew picking up money?
Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's
Even a
only-
20. I left a 20 on the street once.
No, here's the thing. There's only $1 amount that I'll do.
100?
That I'll pick. No, it's 10
Why?
because 10 is low
Minion?
enough. No, right. It's a well, I should have just said that. No, but 10 is low enough where it's not like, oh, this Jew is taking so much money, but it's not. it's not high. It's not so low where it's like, oh, the Jew will go for anything. Oh, the
It's
Jew
worth it.
It's like worth picking up potentially. And by the way, I've never done this. I've never seen a loose 10.
Right.
All I know is that if I saw one, that's the one I would pick up. But I'm not going for coins. I'm never going for a coin.
Right.
I don't care if they come up with a $1 million coin.
Right.
I'm not picking up a coin.
Right.
You're not going to see me.
There's something about what is it about coins over paper that
The coins are like, that's like the gold, the old Jewish gold,
That's
gold
the picture.
coins.
It's the coins.
It's the coins.
Yeah.
It's always coins.
it's the coins with your face
Yes.
on
it
every
is.
poster.
It is. It is.
We'll be back with the great Brett Gelman. This is so exciting. Eli, are you excited?
Yeah, I'm stoked.
I'm extra excited. Our star of David, and what a star he is for so many reasons.
Oh.
He's a star in just his work, and he's a star in his advocacy. Do you feel that in the industry we are so alone? There's like 9 of us. There's not even, right? We can't even get a minion to do the damn advocacy. There's like 9 of us. Do you feel alone?
Yeah, in a way, yes. I mean, there's a lot of like support from the shadows. There's a lot of, hey,
Yeah.
come here.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you're doing.
Yeah.
All you're doing. I of course, I can't speak out because,
Right.
I represent Sinwar. Yeah. So, why are we whispering? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, don't talk to me. Walk away.
Yeah.
Thank you. It feels like, I don't know why, like, I think that, like, higher up people are scared of their assistants. And there is this whole thing that happened, just this, it's just a systematic thing that happened in our industry, which is what happened in our country, which was anti-Semitism got embedded in a lot of very worthy causes.
Right.
And through some sort of propaganda, some sort of mismanagement, some sort of lack of exposure to Jewish culture, to what it actually means to be Jewish.
It's all about
To us, and it's somewhat on us for not advocating for ourselves in the way that other marginalized groups do.
right.
Yeah, and the way it's been embedded too, it's something where it's like it's been embedded, sure, and then it's gone ignored. Like it's gotten
Exactly.
ignored, and it's not prioritized in the same way because those other causes are prioritizing something else at the moment. That's like what their cause is. Their cause is to prioritize something else. However, there's no internal affairs. There's no one saying like, and while this is happening, we don't really stand for this like group that has embedded itself into our cause, and it has it has become like a horrible, rampant, like, I guess, I don't know, outbreak.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also at our expense. And that's why my good old friend who I admire so much, Dave Chappelle, his comedy is so beautiful and brilliant because it comes from a place of love for his own people and truth. And it's all about like an injustice. And then his brilliant comedy comes, and then he hits trans and Jews, and it's like, wait, that's not, you don't have to, at the expense of trans people, Jewish people, you don't have to prop you and your people up at their expense. Shouldn't it be about, I'm a champion of black voices and of what's right, and then also not make fun and put down, he did Space Jews, which was an insane bit, like literally feeding into the false narrative that we just came in, conquered.
I know, nobody talked about that in that special.
What do you mean nobody talked about it?
When he said,
Space
was in
Jews.
the special,
Yeah.
his last special,
You mean
right?
no one watched it and then talked about that?
Nobody talked about the Space Jews joke.
Yeah, it's
Everybody talked about, as they should have,
Right.
about the
SNL.
transphobic.
Oh, that's the transphobic stuff.
Wasn't the space
Correct,
the Space
yes.
Jews in the SNL
And
monologue?
no, you're right. It was in that special,
yeah.
and the entire focus was on, oh my God, he made transphobic jokes. Well, what about anti-Semitic
it's
jokes?
so internalized. It's so accepted, even amongst a lot of Jews.
Right.
It's so accepted to be shit on.
Right.
To shit on ourselves. And it's that, I think...
It's the whole punching down thing, but they don't realize. They think they're punching up. They don't realize we are down. We're still down. Like it's not punching up to when you make fun of it. It is punching down. We
Yeah.
are still this minority, this persecuted, this targeted. We are still just because some of us are successful. I mean, literally at this table, there's 3 of us. Only you're successful. Let's be honest. We're still struggling. I mean, all Jews are rich. All Jews are. No, I grew up in the Bronx, a little apartment. So because they consider us all successful and running things, it's okay to punch, up, but they're not. They're punching down. They just don't think.
Well, success is not a finite thing.
Correct.
Success comes and goes.
By the way, you always beat me out for everything. Remember pilot season? It was always like, well, Brett Gelman's testing. I'm like, forget it. Yeah, Brett Gelman. They offered, and then they offered it to Brett. The offer went to Brett Gelman, and by the way, speaking of justice,
Is that true?
I swear you were always the guy booking.
That's
rightly
wild.
So one of us is better than the other. But I think it's come full circle. Not that I beat you out, but thank God you turned it down. And now I'm doing a movie in Israel by the guys who made Ushpizen because thankfully you turned it down.
I couldn't make it work. I think it's an
timing,
amazing
the schedule.
Yeah, it's an amazing film. I'm excited for you to play that role.
So
that
nice.
filmmaker and
So generous. Yeah, Giddy Dar and Shirley Rand.
Yeah. They're all like very brilliant people
So happy
involved in that.
you were busy.
Yeah, I can't wait to
You
see you
should
play that role though too.
Thank
I'm
you.
sad that I couldn't do
I know.
it.
You should have been busy like 12 years ago when I really needed it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, 12 years ago, I don't think I was that busy.
That's
I don't
not
feel that busy now.
Really?
I mean, there's so many.
My kids are obsessed with you. Like, you're getting Brett Gelman. Like, oh my God, when you came over, they went nuts.
But to me, it's like, and I'm very grateful for that job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like part of this is like neurosis and like being somewhat negative.
Right.
But, you look at the no's, you can easily look at the no's more than the yeses.
Right.
And there's a lot of no's. There's a lot of no's on all sides of it. And there's a lot of waiting and there's a lot of like weird shit all the time that you're like, what is this? Like
all the time.
Like when things go quiet, especially right now, you're like, is this some sort of look? I mean, I have had like I've also had like big people in our industry thank me, for speaking out. And I, make it clear that they are on the right side of history here. But
do you think it'll affect you negatively for getting roles in the future?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I don't think that, I hope not. What I'd like to think is that anybody who like wouldn't hire me now because of this probably wouldn't have hired me anyway. It just wouldn't have been so clear to them that it was because I was a Jew.
Right.
or they just don't like me or something like,
Things get weird here. What flashed in my head was they will do something like it'll say in the casting, a Brett Gelman type. And then your agent will call and be like, yeah, he's not right for it. Like that's how weird it is in Hollywood. You know what I mean? They'll ask for you and then reject you.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, it's all like this weird
personally.
math that they play with themselves. And also the agents can't like force a director to cast you.
Right.
The director will say, really? Go, go fuck yourself. I mean,
right. And
if they're a real director.
Yeah. There's this duality, dichotomy maybe of, is it personal or is it not personal? I do this with anti-Semitism too. Isn't it personal? They're talking about us. Well, no. Isn't hatred hatred? I mean, don't the people who hate also hate gays and blacks? And, it's like, don't take it so personally, Jews. Hatred is hatred. But then you have to take it personally because it's really targeted mostly at Jews. But black people think they have. I used to argue with my gay brother, who do you think is hated more? Literally, we go back and forth. He'd be like, You're crazy. It's the gays. You're crazy. And I go, who do you think is targeted more? Because there, and this was 10, 15 years ago when in New York, the amount of insane gay bashing attacks that were happening on the streets, way more than any anti-Semitic attacks.
Yeah.
But now it's like flipped. Now there are way more anti-Semitic incidents. That's just a fact. Just to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
There's more anti-Semitic incidents than homophobic, than Islamophobic, than anything. We're number one. But the fact that we would even argue who hates which group more is nuts.
Yeah. No, like I definitely think that that's like one of the biggest things that needs to end is the like oppression Olympics. I've said this before. It doesn't matter. I mean, even if we are the least hated, we're still hated.
Right.
even if we're the least discriminated against, we're still discriminated against.
Right.
And if we become the most, it's like we have to take all of that into account. The marginalized people used to band together more.
Right.
And not resort to these more extremist things,
Right.
you know. And now you see a lot of Jews, they're either like ally ass licking or they're right wing ass licking.
Right.
And it's like, well, where do we fall into this where we're actually looking at points, policies, all of these different things, how somebody is acting in a certain situation, that's the thing we're judging, not make this general sweep.
Of course.
And I mean, and I empathize with that to a degree because we're all like Jews in the diaspora in the United States, I should just say. We're all in a state of hysteria,
Right.
of like, holy shit, like
Right.
this is what we all thought was never here has been here
Yeah.
all along, and it was happening under our noses, and we were just barreling forward, and a lot of us were trying to assimilate and all of that. And we started, I think, sure, like, inclusion was a major problem in Hollywood,
Yes.
and there are high-powered Jews in Hollywood
Yes.
who were definitely not, were not helping that situation, but there were non-Jews not helping situation. These are powerful people,
Right.
who can behave badly.
Right. But like the idea that the Jews control Hollywood, as if there's some cabal.
If only there was a fucking cabal.
Exactly. But like,
I mean, it feels really a lot right now that there's a fucking hipster cabal,
yeah.
and that's like this group that, I used to consider myself a part of.
Yeah.
That is
You're so woke,
morally
in
and
every way.
morally and intellectually lazy.
Right. Why? How
And
so?
reactionary. First of all, if you don't have skin in the game in this war or in this situation,
Keep quiet.
if you are not, no, I mean, you have to just examine why you're choosing
Right.
to go against Israel and why you're really deciding to make that such a point in your day-to-day thought and speaking out in your life that you become so obsessed with that. And you would think that if you're this obsessed with it, you would actually educate yourself on the full fucking situation.
Exactly. And
Where you would be like, well, I maybe should like at least also be blaming Hamas
Right.
for
At
the
least.
Palestinian
Right.
oppression.
Correct.
Not
Sinwar was known as the butcher of Gaza because he killed Palestinian civilians.
They're killing their people right now.
Right.
And whether or not you are just like anti-war
Right.
and are just like, I don't think anything, war should not be happening. And I respect that. I don't want war.
Nobody-
Who wants
right,
war?
right.
But like this way to be so
But if it's,
hypocritically binary about this when you're demanding also justifiably that we be non-binary about so many other things, which we should be. But to claim that we should be non-binary towards gender and, sexual identity,
Right.
which we should be. I
course.
agree with that. Why are we so binary? Why are people being so
Yeah.
binary when it comes to race?
Yes.
When it comes to politics?
And-
when it comes to war?
and binary on the illiberal side. That's the crazy thing. They've chosen sides, and it's the sides that is illiberal. It's the side that are against gays and women's rights and all that. That's what I don't get more than anything.
Yeah.
That hypocrisy level, I have never seen.
It's really crazy. So, like, the fact that you're choosing to ignore all of that
All of
and yet speak out so vehemently
Yeah.
on this topic
Yeah.
is just inherently anti-Semitic.
And then it's also ignorant. And you just address the ignorance. Do research, like learn the history. I hate to admit this when I admit this. I don't think I've admitted this yet, but I didn't care about Israel till I was 30. Now, I had a love for it as a Jew, like, oh, it's the birthplace of my people and my mother, by the way. So it's like, oh yeah, Israel. But I'm an American Jew and I'm in New York and I'm not thinking about Israel. I don't care about it. And then the first Intifada happened, and I just kept reading, like, wait, they're blowing up buses and pizza stores? What's going on? And I did a deep dive on the history, on the conflict, so I would have perspective and I would know there's a right and wrong here. That I know it's nuanced in a million ways, but there is one side that wants peace and coexistence and one side that just wants to see Israel wiped off the map. And in the charter, every Jew everywhere, forget Israel, every Jew everywhere should be killed. So, and when you learn these things and when you do this deep dive, all of a sudden I began not caring about Israel. I became obsessed. It was like, I am now a real Zionist. I did not give a crap until I was like 30.
Yeah, I mean, it was later for me. I mean,
When and why and how?
I mean, I grew up loving Israel. We never went. My parents were too afraid. You know, that's a lot of people now. I mean, like, even people now who are like speaking out in favor of us, like, some still haven't gone. They're afraid. They only see it as this like place of war, which it's far from that, you know, and
Especially at the Kempinski Hotel in Tel Aviv, where I'll be staying all month.
no war there.
No, but you don't
only
feel it. Like,
luxury.
when you're in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, you really don't feel that there's a war going on.
No, I mean, you
minutes
feel
there.
like, you know, in Jerusalem or certain points, even you might feel some tension.
Right.
But no,
But
not
when did you
war.
fall in love? I mean, you were always in love, but when did you realize?
I mean, I was sort of like, at one point, you know, I was so uneducated about it.
Me too.
And when I was growing up in Hebrew school, it was very black and white in what we were taught, which was Israel is this small Jewish state that's surrounded by enemies that want to destroy it, which is true. But then
48 and 67 proved that.
Yeah, and then you learn though about the complicated nature of a government, and that they're not everything that any democratic government has done is necessarily the most moral thing.
Right.
And so then, you know, I was in a lot of these like hipster circles where
But you're so unhip. You're like the definition.
I mean,
of
I don't know
hipster.
what I mean, like,
Looking at him going, but you're so not hip.
I want to like look good and like, you know, but I don't want
I
to
understand.
be a part of that like scene or anything like that. And so, you know, and I've always been somebody who's been very passionate about civil rights.
Right.
And if you're not around a lot of Jews,
It just doesn't come up.
it doesn't come up, or the Israeli-Palestinian conflict starts to be put through this Black American lens
So what was it for
of
you
oppression.
that you went?
My wife.
And what did she do?
I would start saying things when we started going on. My wife is Israeli American, and she was like, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I love that.
You're a self-hating Jew."
Wow.
And she recognizes the mistakes Israel has made.
Of course.
But this is a bigger thing. We're talking about its existence, and we're talking about the unfair way and totally lopsided way in which it's criticized. Which, if you're willing to look at Hamas's resistance, and you don't see even an ultra right-wing government as a reaction to terror, and maybe it's in certain cases, yes, and definitely in certain cases, not maybe, in certain cases, there is an overreaction there. But that's being brought upon by the fact that, you know, you are panicking over being attacked constantly.
Yes.
And if the attacking stopped,
If only it would.
that would stop.
Everything
that would
would
stop, and Israel would have a different government.
Correct.
And people wouldn't be looking to, you know, just fucking protect me. I don't give a shit.
Right. I just want to
Just
live.
protect me.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I'm thinking about me more than I'm thinking about anybody else.
Right, or my
right
family.
now. Exactly.
Yeah.
My family. Exactly. So there's all of that. And the fact that people aren't even it's a complicated, it's a big discussion to engage in. And the fact that that so many people are just being like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, Israel, villain. And the fact that like we're being so scapegoated and that they're using the UN as a way to, you know, back their argument.
Well, the UN is a perfect example of the double standard you just talked about. When there's so many human rights abuses from China and Russia and Syria murdering its own civilians, all they do is single out Israel.
Yeah.
That's insane. They're in the UN. There are countries that are these tyrannical, despotic. They're just Iran hanging gays. Like, where's the Iranian rebuke at the UN? And that to me just shows, okay, something is off here.
Right. Why isn't Iran the biggest problem
Right.
that everybody has,
It
especially
is the biggest
left?
problem that we all have, especially the
exactly.
left.
Like,
Yeah.
because it is.
Yes.
Because that is actually the closest thing to Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
You know?
The Ayatollah is the closest thing we have.
Because identity politics has gotten so binary, like it's somehow racist to say that.
Yeah.
You know, or unacceptable. People are afraid to say that. It's like, this guy, like, that's racist.
Right.
You know? We shouldn't be holding people's morality to what they look like.
Correct.
You know?
Brett, we begin every interview
Yeah.
with even though we're almost at the end here, I could do this.
We
for
can keep
hours.
going now.
Okay, fine. We could do a little more, right? Good. Oh, good. We have to. This is a very special episode of
Am I too on a soapbox here?
No. I want you more on it. We start every episode with something I call the 3 W's, which happened at my Shabbat dinner where there was like a lot of people. There was like 15, 16 people and everyone was having their own conversations. And I wanted to unify the group. I just wanted to go, let's all talk together. So I just came up with this thing. It was amazing. And now I start every...
What is it? Yeah, what's
the 3 W's are, what are you working on? What are you worried about? And what do you wish for? So we'll start. What are you working on?
Holy shit.
It's a lot. The first one's easy. Come on.
Yeah, I'm working. I mean, like right now, I'm working. The things that are happening is I'm working on Stranger Things.
Great.
I'm working on a podcast with my wife called
Great.
Neurotica,
Oh, wow. That's great.
which
Guys,
we gotta
whatever
have you
do,
guys on
we'll-
too, but
we'll
we haven't
go
had
on it.
any guests on
No,
yet.
but whatever you do, I'm just going to tell the listeners something. Stop listening to this and listen to that. Trust me, I'm not kidding.
Listen to both.
No. There's no time for both.
It's crazy to say that.
No, it's not crazy.
No, everyone is already looking for an excuse to stop listening to you talk. Okay? And if you just send them elsewhere, they're going to go.
I'm telling
They're
you.
going to go.
I'm not asking. Gene Wilder would yell, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Go. What's it called? What's it called, your podcast?
Neurotica.
Go to Neurotica.
But it's not out yet.
Oh.
We're going to launch.
Neither
We
is
just
this.
recorded, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to launch sometime next year. But
Okay.
we've been recording, so I'm working.
Okay, I promise you that will be the most entertaining thing.
I really hope so.
I
hope
guarantee
you're right.
it. Having
This
to
is
spend
very
time with both of
entertaining.
you.
Myself excluded in my...
No. It's
diet,
entertaining. What are you working on? What are you worried about?
What am I worried about? I'm worried about the future of the Jewish people.
Right.
I'm worried about the future of Israel.
Right.
I'm worried about the future of the United States. Just like
People
what's
seem to
going
be
on.
spiraling.
Just like, yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. You go to Israel, I feel like I talk to Israelis and they're in a fucking war zone. They're keeping it together.
Yes.
They're keeping it positive.
Yes.
Like, especially like, my ilk there, my people there, they're all like, to be running into bomb shelters multiple times a day and living with the reality that like, if, they really decide, if Hezbollah really decides to fuck shit up, if they did, Tel Aviv would be in trouble.
Right.
This is not
The Iron Dome can
Gaza.
only take
Yeah.
so many. Yeah.
And and I'm worried about like the future of like thought.
Right.
I'm worried about like how people are hypnotized into their fucking phones.
Yeah.
That has made them these insane,
Yeah.
moronic narcissists.
Right. I'm worried about the next generation being all the thought leaders and world
Yes.
leaders. But I don't want there to be a Jewish party or a Jewish president or vice president, because then what they say
Yeah.
about us would be they are control. See, they're now controlling
Strictly
America.
Gentile
Anything America
leaders.
does will be blamed on Jews globally. I
Here's
don't
my
want-
question
Yeah.
though. Do you think though that as a people, and I don't know the answer to this,
Eli
that
does.
we really worry about what the people's reaction is going to be to our success,
Yes.
and to any move that we make more than another people.
Oh, more than enough.
Like, I feel like the other
it is
marginalized groups would be like, yeah, we should have a president. And if whoever doesn't like it, go
Right.
fuck yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a piece of shit.
No,
Right.
we are.
But
we
why
are.
are we always like, oh, we don't want that to happen and keep us out of the spotlight? So we like,
It's
I mean, it is
crazy.
that thing that I think we
Yes.
really do need to heal in ourselves without going so fucking crazy the other way to
Right.
where,
What's your
we're wearing
thought on that?
fatigues through the
it is
streets.
something that has crippled us, and because of the fear that is I don't know. Whenever Jews come to power, become successful, and assimilate into society, it means that the other shoe is about to drop, and the other shoe just happens to be genocide, all right, or expulsion. And so, like, it has been different for Jewish people in the diaspora because since we have left a homeland, since we were created, since we banded together the first time, we've never had security in any land. So this homeland that we talk about is like an idea of simply being together and like being
safe.
able to be safe.
Right.
And like that's why for so many years in the diaspora that Israel was this idea. It actually just was the idea of somewhere where we can all live, and that's where Mashiach would come, or whatever the Jews believe. I don't know what they
Right.
believe. But
But you're right about the fear. The fear is so great that because what happens if the fear comes true? Genocide.
yeah,
Or ethnic cleansing. That, what you just said, and I'm not kidding, was one of the most articulate and genuine things I've ever heard out of your dumb mouth.
yeah,
I just want you to know that.
yeah.
And I loved it.
Are you usually pretty stupid on this?
No,
It's not stupid ever. It's
No,
just-
but I agree. It's
difficult.
I agree. I mean, like your show, right? His show.
Yeah. His
like all
one-man
that.
show. You
It's
saw
all
that.
about that.
Tell me.
It's all about, it's a comment on us degrading ourselves in order to be liked by the world, right?
Yes.
yeah. I mean,
And mocking the hatred and mocking the hate.
Yeah, and showing how absurd it is.
Yes.
And then at the same time doing this flip side thing of showing that within that, and even within the stereotype, there is still cultural and artistic excellence within that, because it's the character is so funny too.
yeah,
And-
yeah. I mean,
and-
and the hope for the show. I mean, I don't know. Speaking about my show, but the hope for my show is that I'm able to play within this caricature that has been created for us. So I don't even have to make a character. I'm just playing into these things that already exist, and I'm having such a great time. I'm being so joyful within it that it becomes a certain freedom.
Yes.
That it becomes an expression of my freedom as someone who's already been cornered into this idea of the Jew.
Yes.
Because I look the part.
Yes.
Right.
I am doing the thing that Jews have been a part of in making people laugh and show business and, handing money out and everything. And so that becomes like what I'm trying to allow us to mentally sort of escape by being free in the performance.
And Brett Gelman and I, who sat together and watched this brilliant show called Good Showbiz, felt that. And I know what I felt is you have so much love and pride that this is how you're expressing yourself.
Yeah.
By mocking those who hate and give stereotypes and how
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, they're not giving any out for them. It's not legitimizing anything. There have been other things done.
Right.
That, and in all areas where we give like a little bit of a pass to people, even amongst our own people, not presenting our situation in the most honest way.
Yeah.
And if you present our situation in the most honest way, it's been baked in for us not to be allowed to do that, and even by ourselves, you get Jewish material kowtowed in our business by Jews who have bought into the thing of people don't like Jews.
Yeah.
So, we got to pull this out. Like, what did they say? I was watching that Mary Tyler Moore documentary, and she was pregnant when she went into series, and then the CBS execs, I don't know what they were,
Yeah.
but powerful men in this business
Weren't allowed to say.
said, there's three things we don't allow on shows that we don't want. Guys with mustaches. This was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Pregnant women and Jews.
Whoa.
But you think about like Carl Reiner was supposed to be the Carl Reiner show, not the Dick Van Dyke show.
Right.
And I think Dick Van Dyke is, a
Geniusly
genius
talented.
treasure that I'm glad
He
had
was
the career
the
he did.
non-Jewish face
But
that they
were
wanted.
like, we can't have this Jew.
can't have this Jewy
Nobody's
guy.
going to watch this Jew.
That's
Right.
still baked in. That is still baked into.
Well, you can't say it's still baked in as if like Seinfeld and Mad About You and Friends and every Jewish show now has come out. This was back then. I think now it's much more. And people are going to listen to this and go, "Oh, I haven't seen a Jew on television in 60." Yeah, there's been now. It's different, but back then they were like right Jewish, but cast British, right Yiddish, cast British,
And
that was a thing. But now it's
And sometimes I wonder about Friends. I'm like, did Friends come out? Because people were like, why don't we make Seinfeld, but not with oh, this nice goyim.
Jewy.
Half
Half of them were also Jewish.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So I don't want to insult them either because they are proud Jews.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
a lot.
I take that back.
What about Friends?
No, but there was something very like Jewish in energy about Seinfeld.
Yes.
Not just, in representation. I mean, in
not in representation.
Like, I wouldn't
they never
say
talked
that
about it.
I wouldn't say that Friends is a representation, even though there are Jews on there who are clearly Jewish, who are not hiding their Judaism and their Jewishness. It's not a Jewishly driven culturally as a show.
Yes.
In the ways that
Larry David and Jerry wrote those episodes.
Exactly.
That was
that's like the whole Lenny Bruce thing of if you're from New York, everybody in New York is a Jew.
Yes.
And
speaking of Larry David, what the three of us have in common? Should we play Jewish geography? Should we play, what do I call it? 6 degrees of separation, anxiety? Larry.
Should I say what I wish for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get to that.
Oh, no.
Wait, I just want to say we were all on Curb. Isn't that cool? The three of us were on.
Yeah, that was amazing.
All right, curb boys. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3,
I had a very,
The pig part.
very curb
Wait, we got to hear this, and then what do you wish for?
Yeah,
Okay.
from Larry.
Let me hear it.
No, I just like
On
he
set?
we had like an awkward thing at first because I was supposed to park outside of the line, but like the truck was really big, and
Oh, he doesn't like
I was really fucking nervous.
Yeah.
This is like I'm working with, God, and
or at least Moshe Rabbeinu.
yeah,
If not God, at
least the Bel
Moses.
Shem Tov.
Yes, at least the
Am I
Baal
the
Shem Tov.
first
Yes, the
person?
Vilna Gaon, one of the greats, obviously. And by the way, I told him that at lunch. I said, you're the Gadol Hador. And he said, he didn't even know what that means. It's every
Right.
generation is a great one. There's a great one, and he is it. So go ahead, what happened?
Yeah. And he was walking towards the space, shaking his head, and I think we're about to rehearse the scene. And he's like, "No, you parked perfectly inside the space." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I couldn't see over there." He's like, "See, the whole concept of the bit is you park outside of the line. And that's why I get mad at you." And I was like, no, I know. I'm not stupid. I couldn't see over the hood of the car. The car was like started too close to the lines.
Right.
And he was like, okay. And then he walked away and I was like ready to start the first take. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like I've shit on one of my lifelong dreams, which is to be on this show and work with this man. How can I be funny now? This is going to be terrible.
He's probably in the office firing you.
I started plotting. I'm like, they're going to cut this scene.
Right. Cut,
so
fire.
what I got to do, I got to call CAA as soon as I'm off of this. And I got to call them and I got to say, Larry David was such a fucking asshole. That he made me feel really uncomfortable. No. And then I got it together and I was like, no. Brett, you got to do this or you're going to regret it the rest of your life.
Yes.
And
this is him. It's his issues. It's not you, what you did. It's how he deals with things. You know what I mean?
I didn't even feel like I didn't think he acted inappropriately.
Right.
He was like a little.
He just protects the bit.
He was a little annoyed, and like, let's
Right.
face it, like day players are annoying. You know, and we come in with like our like virginal energy. We're not a part of the show.
So what happened when cameras started rolling?
I got it together. I went into it, and as you know, like he'll break.
Yeah.
So and then
breaks, he
that's the
laughs.
best thing ever.
It's the
'Cause
best thing to
that
make him.
completely makes you feel free.
Yes. You just made the king laugh.
Yeah,
Because you're
I just made-
the jester, and then the king and then he breaks the scene. And
Yeah.
you're like, wow.
So he's very like he's one of the most gracious
Generous,
people to
yep.
work with.
Yep.
He really is. Like he doesn't want to talk small talk. Like I get it. Like,
Right.
especially with me.
Right.
Like, you know, I wouldn't want to either,
Right.
probably, especially if I was him.
Right.
And
But
I did not audition. Like he didn't know me. I like met him.
Right.
Like he didn't know me.
It's
I could have been a fucking moron or a lunatic.
But that
and like, yeah.
pre-filming moment is so precious, and it really will dictate whether you're going to be nervous on camera or totally
Yeah.
chill. And I had the exact opposite thing. And again, he was just upset that you were going to ruin the bit by how you parked.
Yeah.
It wasn't something about you, or it was like, no, the whole bit is it's got to be right. So he does his thing. For me, we're sitting in 2 waiting room chairs. He gets up and comes over to me and goes, I just want you to know, until we're both happy, we will keep going. Could be hours and hours. We're going to keep doing this until you're happy and I'm happy. I'm like, oh, great. It took the pressure off. I was so
Wow.
relaxed. Yeah, of course I nailed it in the first take. That's not important. The important thing is that I had that freedom to now go, okay, I don't have to get it right now. I could mess up and I could. So, and then he comes over to you and he's yelling at you. It's a totally different way in.
He didn't
No, I know.
yell.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's not how you park.
But we're also like,
You don't do that. That's not the bit.
Well, Larry, what's the problem? I just parked. That's not the bit.
No, it's not the bit. The
Okay.
bit, you park outside of the line.
yeah.
You park outside of it. I don't get it.
What does Brett Gelman wish for?
I wish for to continue the deep love that my wife and I have for each other. Peace in Israel, peace in this world.
We're going to end with a speed round of the 4 questions. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, the 4 questions for Brett Gelman. Question number 1, what is your favorite Jewish holiday?
My favorite Jewish holiday.
Yeah.
I guess I would say it's Pesach, Yeah.
Me too, yeah. Oh, quickly, why? Well, why?
Because it's the most it's always been the most structured to me in terms of like everybody getting together. Everybody really gets together on that
It's our
holiday.
Christmas.
Yeah.
It's totally our Christmas, and then we remember that we were slaves.
Yeah.
And we,
it's our Christmas and our Thanksgiving.
Right.
Even though Sukkot is sort of more thematically our Thanksgiving.
Right.
Passover more, at least in the United States, feels like more of a Thanksgiving.
Totally. And any
Your diet is restricted.
and it's
It's
restricted.
our Christmas, it's our Thanksgiving, but we remember we were slaves and our diet is restricted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't our diet always
Very
restricted?
No, even more so. Yeah.
In the no bread way.
Yes.
But in Christmas, there's no restrictions
Yeah, no, it's.
dietarily.
I think that's where maybe
That's
people
the point.
have their biggest meal of the year.
Right.
But I've also really come to love Shabbat.
Unbelievable. I just love it.
The fact that we get that every week is really
That's the
incredible.
greatest gift
Yeah.
to Earth, to humanity. You're coming for Shabbat dinner soon, you and Ari.
Absolutely.
And I could do an hour just on the beauty of Shabbos. Okay, question number 2. What's your vice?
My
I
vice.
love talking to people about vices. Like, what do you look forward to? And I'm going to do this at the end of the day. For me, it's like a cigar or whatever, but like, what's your vice? Like, what do you,
Depends on the day.
right. Where do I start?
I guess my vices are wine, marijuana at times.
And for question number 3, we always go to Eli Leonard. Eli, do you have a question?
I do. Go
ahead.
What's with the accessories?
My jewelry?
Yeah, you got so much. For me,
Not so little.
yeah, I know. I've got so little. I wonder what's with it. I mean, does it impact your life in such a great way that you think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at least
You've
9
heard
pieces.
of Mr. T? He's Mr. J.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
The big
right.
Jew.
That's right.
Yeah.
What?
Because I was a necklace guy for a little bit, and
Yeah.
I did get more confident. I did have necklace confidence, but I stopped wearing it.
It definitely pumps the confidence.
Yeah.
It's also a little provocative. Not everybody is wearing as much as me.
Right. True.
You
So
waste.
they-
You waste the question. You have a great actor,
so
a
they,
great man
like-
here, and you
Oh, you
waste.
Meisner trained?
Huh? I
Meisner-
dabbled in Meisner.
Yeah.
I've
Which-
dabbled in everything.
How do you prepare for a role? And I just
That's a
mean,
very
and I just mean that,
complicated- it's
and
a
I just
soup.
mean that generally.
It's a soup, baby. It's a soup.
And the final question is:
yeah.
Who inspires you besides Eli Leonard?
Who inspires me? I mean, the most inspiring person is my wife.
Wow.
And I mean that. I mean that deeply. And I think that's how it should be.
It should be. Yeah. Very often it's a parent, my mother, my father, but when the wife or the
my wife,
spouse.
Yeah, not only in
you,
like
that's-
how she like opened my eyes, but then also how she lives her life, how she treats people.
Yes.
How she's able to do everything.
Yes.
How she's able to, fulfill an artistic career and at the same time have the space to do every errand, because I'm kind of a piece of shit when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to be less so. Love you.
Thank you,
Love
Brett
you
Gelman.
guys.
And I love you for your humanity, your art, and your voice. And thank you for all of that because
Thank you.
You're one of the few, and we need more of you. Thank you, Brett Gelman. We are back, folks, with my mother and father, Sid and Lynn Gold. Welcome, folks.
Shalom, mention.
Good Shabbos.
Say hi to Eli Leonard.
Hi, babes.
Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem Shoilem.
So you guys always bring us our Yiddish word of the week. Do you know what it is?
Yes, the word is shtetele.
Shtetele.
Deitele. And what does it mean?
It means small town.
My little shtetl.
My little Deitele.
Yes, my little shtetl is a big town, but when you want to make a diminutive, small, and endearing, is shtetele.
Are either of you from a Deitele?
I'm from the shtetele of New York, so I don't
My parents came from a little town in Europe,
Called what?
and I think a Fiddler on the Roof when the Tsar drove.
I'm sitting across from
Yiddish
Eli
town.
Leonard. I can't not think of Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay,
So do you have a song for us to close it out?
Yeah, so let me just set it up.
Okay.
So when they were driven out of their little shtetl, which they call mein shtetl, they longed to go back to where they spent their childhood. So
Right.
they all left to America or to Palestine because this is pre-World War One.
Right. That's where you were born in
Yes,
pre-Israel
in Palestine.
Right.
And but this is the Yiddish word, for longing and being homesick for their little shtetl where they grew up.
Beautiful.
and
Let's hear it.
spent their
All right. Hit it,
childhood.
Dad.
Bells, mein shtetele bells, mein Heimele Viecha, meine kindische Juren verbracht. Bells, mein shtetele bells, in Orem Stiebele mit alle Kinderlech dort gelacht. O jeden Shabbos bleib ich laufen dort mit der Kinder gleich. Zu sitzen unter dem grünen Bäumele, lehnen bei dem Teich. Bells, mein shtetele bells, mein
Everybody.
Heimele Viecha, die schöne Chalumes Asach.
Wow, that was actually beautiful.
That was beautiful.
But there was that was a perfect song. There was one moment in there that you said these Yiddish words that sounded like Eli when he pretends to speak Yiddish.
Some of that had to be made up because I'm sure I've said those exact
Like,
words.
how would it go?
Mein shtetele boine nish koi beli doidel chaimish kein gevayoidel.
Literally, for a minute,
that sort of sounded like
you were making up words.
It was like prayers and
Was das die Meshiga? Das ist nicht geil.
No, he's not the Abyssal Meshiga. That we know. But the point is, it was a beautiful song. And then at one point, it sounded like, oh, he's just making up words.
Yeah.
Go ahead, the stay, the lift.
yeah. When there was an oidel and a yoidel,
Yoidel.
two oidels,
Thank
oidel
you, Mom
and
and
oidel.
Dad. We love you.
Okay, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem.
What a show and what a season.
Yeah.
What a season.
Wow.
This was a season.
I guess it was.
Right?
You can just have 8 episodes and then just say it's a season.
That's what, remember when Netflix, in my day, it was 22 was the season.
Right.
If you were mid-season, you did 13.
Right.
Then like these streamers come like, how about 8? That's a season? 8?
Yeah.
It's enough.
And they put a lot
Eight
of
is enough.
Usually it's because they, they're trying to cut costs, but sometimes they put a lot of money into those 8 episodes.
Yeah. Ironically, 8 is enough was a show that had 22 episodes.
Really?
So 8 wasn't enough. 8 is enough of anything with you, by the way.
I know.
Could you imagine?
For me too.
Right? Like
me
for
too.
just being with me for more than 8 of
That's
these.
what I mean. Yeah.
And I meant that about being with you.
Right. So it's mutual.
But I think what the audience knows is there's nothing but love here. And that what we do on screen is bicker. We banter. we pretend to hate, but there's nothing
We
but
say our real opinions, but it's pretend hatred.
love. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. But also I don't think this comes across as hate at all.
A little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially what you just said. I
What?
thought you loved me.
I do.
Oh, your real opinions?
Yeah, a lot of times.
But you pretend that they're...
A lot of times I do say my real opinions. Opinions.
You want to see this live and in person?
Do you?
Yeah. Come see Eli and I. We are together. We're at the Paramount Theater. Just go to elongold.com for where we are. We're everywhere from like Boca to Chicago. And then Eli's one-man show, the amazing show, the brilliant show, Good Showbiz, is at the Elysian Theater. It's an exclusive. What do they call that? It's like a run. It's like a
Yeah, like a residency.
residency. Yeah.
I mean, I did my full residency in September, and they're just bringing it
saw
back
it.
for a bit of an encore during Hanukkah.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
pretty nice.
How are you going to be in the East Coast with me during Hanukkah?
No, I'm not going to. We have to talk about that. I'm so
Paramount
sorry.
Theater.
No, we are
You
going to be
bailing out of that. It's a Sunday. You're going to do it Saturday night on a Sunday. In the winter, you're going to take the red eye and hope to land.
I think so.
I'm going to find another special.
Wait a
Find
minute. Wait a
another
minute.
very special guest.
Well, okay.
I don't think you're going to be there.
Yeah, no, I think I will be. I'm going to be doing it on the 26th and
Speaking of very
27th.
special guests.
29th is the day of the show.
What do you
I
think?
leave the 28th. It's so much easier than you think.
Speaking of very special,
my opinion.
guests, what did you think of that very special Brett Gelman?
Very special Brett Gelman. I thought he was a very special Brett Gelman.
No, he's special in so many ways. Like, he's just so... I made the joke about how unhip he is. He's like the definition of, like, cool. Like, I want to be that cool in real life, but I could never pull off his cool outfits. I can't pull off anything that He's like a cool guy, but then also so contemplative, introspective, and then outwardly, just his macro view is almost as fascinating as his micro about himself. His worldview is almost as impressive as, how he sees himself and how he analyzes himself. But boy, does he get it with both of those things. Like, he really just gets it. And then again, the bravery of like, I don't care what certain people in Hollywood are going to say if I am outspoken. I don't care what about death threat. I'm just going to speak my truth. And that was just so impressive. And then his love of his wife was so nice. And what can we say other than Baruch Hashem, that you were here for this journey with us, that we got to keep doing this. We start every show, every episode with gratitude by thanking God. And what a better way to end it, by thanking God. Of course, Open Door Media and Megan and all of our great producers and you, Eli. But without God, I don't think any of us. And who else?
Thank you.
Well, I mean, that's unnecessary. That's a given. I can't thank myself.
Well, thank you so much.
It would be nice if you thanked me louder.
Thank you.
Right. I don't know why my thank you gets a whisper. I'm full volume here
because-
going, thank you, Eli. Thank you, Megan. You're like, and you also.
Well, I just want to make sure you hear it. It's just important that at least you understand.
I don't need to be thanked.
Okay, great. Then I will never do it again.
But thank you all for being here. And thank you to all my stars of David, all my guests that just came on and just really shared of themselves in ways that sometimes you don't get to see them sharing. Thank you to all my guests. And thank you to the people who watched, who listened. And let me just say that Stars of David, with me, Elon Gold, and Eli Leonard, is a production of Unpacked, a division of Open Door Media. Subscribe to Stars of David wherever you're listening to this podcast, and full episodes are available to watch on YouTube. Be in touch with us at starsofdavid@JewishUnpacked.com. And good Yontif.
What's your Adon Olam tune?
I don't love my share my luck, but tell him go and see the valley. It's a solid, it's a color.
Beyond the left gate,